Hello, hello, and we are live. What's up,
Yes.
everyone?
Hello, it's episode 7 today.
Episode 7 today, and today's episode is gonna be a demo, and it's gonna be revolving around GraphQL and Angular, and what's the easiest way to get set up. Okay, so,
Awesome.
you excited, Sergey?
Yeah.
Good, good. So the technologies we're gonna be covering today is gonna be Hasura, which is a GraphQL engine. This guy here. This guy Hasura, get real-time GraphQL APIs instantly. Apollo GraphQL client for Angular, and a little bit of Postgres. I guess I misspelled Postgres here. Okay, so basically, I came across this project a week ago while I was evaluating Prisma, which is a similar solution. It's basically a GraphQL engine that works with your database. So imagine that you have a bunch of data that you want to run CRUD operations on. You don't need to wire up all of your CRUD operations manually. You can just, get your database, run an engine against it, and it will stand up all the operations for you to kind of manipulate that data. So I think it's a very powerful idea. That's why I was excited to share it. It's in line with the serverless approach. Like, how do we get our client to work kind of directly with the database, more or less, similar to Firebase. So think of Hasura as a Firebase, as your own native cloud solution that's similar to Firebase, with a little bit less
Okay.
features. Yeah.
So you can host it on your own. Like, that's the idea.
Yes. So you can host it on your own, and pretty much like an on-premise Firebase-like solution. Firebase obviously has a lot more features than this one. This one, the use case is like, you want to build a single-page application using React or Angular, and you want to take advantage of all the efficiencies that GraphQL provides for you. So in those cases, you would normally, go and start writing all the GraphQL routes. Oh, not routes, but like the resolvers, the queries, the mutations. You would maybe use like Express GraphQL in Node to spin up one, and then you would manually, do all these CRUD-like operations. Now, this takes it to the next level. You no longer have to do that. You can just get this engine, run it against your database, and then you would automatically get all these operations. So your client, whether it's Angular or React, will just, manipulate the database directly in a way.
Cool. And do you know if there is any way to... So I see like it says blazing fast, auto-scalable, extensible. Like, obviously, if you run it locally, then do you have to take care of the auto-scaling on your own? Or like, how does that work?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So they have like they have an enterprise solution. So if we go in here, it's an enterprise ready GraphQL that offers improved reliability, enhanced. This, they would take care of that for you if you go with the enterprise solution. If you go with the engine, you would treat it just like you would any other piece of infrastructure on your on your cluster. Like, if it's you would essentially get like like two Docker containers. One is for the GraphQL engine, and one is for the Postgres, obviously, because this only works with Postgres. So you'd have these containers, and you would manage them just like you would any other container in your infrastructure. So it would become your responsibility. Yeah.
So scaling of the data is your responsibility, as well as like the server, obviously, and it is using Postgres.
Yeah.
And do you think? And it's open source as well, right?
It is open source, yes.
So there is no vendor lock. It's just maybe potentially you're tied to the technology.
That's correct. Yeah, there is no vendor lock as far as I can see. There is some, I think, GitLab it is involved somehow. Maybe they used it. I seem to recall there was some there was some support from GitLab, which like equivalent to GitHub, but it's the open source GitHub.
Right. Okay, and last question is, if you want to estimate somehow, like say, like how much would it cost you compared to the, like the paid service, then is there a way to do that?
Like whether or not you go with the enterprise?
Correct, yes.
Well, let's take a look quickly. So pricing. They don't even have any pricing. There's no pricing details at all.
Oh, yeah, it's just talk to us. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, just like any other, like full service solution. Like if you, it's the same as if you were to go with, GitHub versus GitLab. Or maybe that's not the right. Maybe that's not the right terminology. But it's like, how much do you value? Oh, it's like, what would you run your own cloud, native cloud infrastructure, or would you just use something like Azure or GCP or Amazon? Obviously, it's cheaper if you were to. Well, it would be cheaper in certain cases to run it locally. But depending on the size, I guess, of the team. Now that I'm talking, I don't think I'm qualified to come up with a good argument for that.
Like you're leaning towards like good topics. Like how do you, like with Hasura, you would be able to go to any cloud provider. You are not necessarily locked with like a specific solution.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit. And yeah, like I guess it would involve some testing, like see how much data it would produce, like how optimized it is. If you run a few queries or like a few thousand queries per minute, then like what is the difference?
Yeah, right, so it would maybe need some like maybe some benchmarking to see like what is your needs, and do you value like service level agreement stuff, like do you have an SLA that you have to run your server 99% of the time? In that case, maybe you should go with the enterprise solution. But yeah, they have some specs here.
Yeah, wait, so even this one, like that's already something that can give you an idea. That's pretty cool. I'm going to check it out.
What does it say here? This was a use case, I guess. What did it say here? So 1,000 queries per second with 50 megabyte RAM.
Right.
So you can even run it on like DigitalOcean or something. I was looking at some tutorials where people were just running them on a droplet in DigitalOcean, like a cheap droplet. So that's pretty impressive.
Yep.
1,000
Did
queries.
you work with DigitalOcean?
I do, yeah. I like DigitalOcean. I use it for my
Okay.
personal project.
Let's do a demo about that then.
Have you not used it?
No. I obviously heard about it, but no, I don't think that I used it.
Okay, yeah, I would love to. DigitalOcean is pretty awesome because, you know, like it's on the cheap end. You don't have to worry about your bill. It's always the same. You control the cost, you know. So planet
Right.
scale workloads with, I mean, yeah, they're saying here because it's Postgres. Postgres is like, you know, one of the most beloved SQL database that ever existed. One of the most popular. And they have something called subscriptions, GraphQL subscriptions. So it's like real-time updates. It uses WebSockets. So I'm gonna try to get to that as well in this demo.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, pretty powerful. So this is like, you know, Firebase level stuff. Okay, so let's get started. So the demo is just gonna be a conference app. I got a bunch of data for conferences that are happening in 2020 all over the world. I'm gonna seed that into a database. I'm gonna run Hasura. I'm gonna show the Hasura console, which is where you can like look at all your data and you can run your GraphQL queries. And then I will quickly get into how do we display that data using Angular, using Apollo GraphQL. So this is a very nice Angular client for GraphQL. So it's kind of like, you know, bunching a bunch of topics all in one. Like I was thinking about doing Apollo as one talk and Hasura as one, but I'm just like, you know what, there's way too many technology topics, so decided to just compress them all into one demo.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. And I do have a sample app that I already created, so I can reference it if I forget anything. So first step, obviously, is to get the Hasura running. So they've given us this Docker Compose that I grabbed from their website. Very easy, much easier to run. So Docker Compose up.
You didn't paste stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I didn't. Okay.
Postgres is up, something aired out, GraphQL engine, can start service, driver field program.
It's probably already running somewhere else. Let's see.
Yes, I think you started it before we started demo. Like I saw you run the command in WebStorm.
Yeah, I think it was just it was running from my other POC probably. Dashboard. Just gonna look at my Docker containers, see what's running, what's not. Come on, dashboard. Okay, so I figured out the little glitch. Let's do Docker Compose. Up. Okay, here we go. I didn't run the detached flag, so we can see all the logs. Let's wait and see. Okay. Don't want that. Localhost 8080. So this is the Hasura console. Okay. Now what we have running, if we look at our Docker, we have the GraphQL engine, and then we have Postgres database. Okay, they're running as two separate containers. So let's take a look at this bad boy here. So as you can see, we have no data in our database. There's nothing here. And I don't know why the menu is... Okay, that's better. So let's seed it with some data quickly. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab from my POC, grab this guy here. I need to create the schema actually. So let's quickly create the table. We'll call it conferences. And we have the name, text, and we have date, text. Just for simplicity, I decided to go with test. And then city. Create the table. Primary key required. We'll say this is frequently used columns. We'll add an ID, auto incremented. Okay, here we go. So our table is here now. Refresh. Just wish that menu at the top is... Let me zoom out. Okay. Okay, so our table is here. I'm gonna feed it some data. If I go into the GraphQL side now, I can see that we have queries against these items or tables in our database. So we have these properties.
Yep.
Obviously, we don't have any data right now, so we get conferences, just an empty array. So our database empty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a mutation to seed the database. Okay. I'll go back to mutation, add. Okay, insert conferences, and in here. So we figured out how to do the importing the data. Okay, so now you can see here we have 53 pages. I don't know how many rows. Actually, we can tell through GraphQL how many rows we have. So now I have, I think 500 or so records in that database of all the conferences that are coming up in 2020. Okay, so before we move on to fetching that data using Angular with Apollo GraphQL, we can just run our queries here, just go over what you can do in GraphQL in general. So this Hasura console thing just allows you to see both. You see the data and you can run queries against it. But the queries that you run, they're just normal GraphQL queries. They're nothing exclusive to Hasura in any way. So in GraphQL, obviously you have a query, and you have mutation, and you have subscription. So subscription is similar to query. It's just that it's real-time updates. So you update your data source, you would automatically get the response. So we'll start by query. Query is just, allows you to run, read on the data. So if I say, give me all conferences by cities and name, you can see here that we're getting all the results.
Okay.
Okay, and we can run some
maybe order by date or something like that.
Yeah, order by date. So So as you can see, this interface will help us generate our query. So this is now ordered date. That's a good one, Sergey, by the way. You can run some stuff like you can run.
Oh, I see Minsk, Belarus over there. C++ code hard Spring.
Oh yeah, Core Hard Spring, nice. So I got this list from scraping a website using Puppeteer.
Cool. If you didn't watch our video about that, we have episode 5, I think.
Yes. Good plug. Okay, so you can see like already we, now let's try to run some mutation. Okay, so let's say I want to update the Minsk Belarus name to be something else. So we'll go to mutation and we'll say insert conference, and it will be the name, right? So where the name where the name is this,
maybe we can do webTalk Toronto.
Yeah, sure. So return the new name and the city, and then we will update. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so mutation, there's insert and there's update. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to update, not insert. So I'll remove this one. Okay, and then in update I can say where city is equal to Minsk, Belarus. Okay.
So they have, like, I see there are some for like I like, and then me like. Over here.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm not familiar with all of them. They are, I believe they are Postgres related. So like it's called pattern matching.
I see.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. Like I never really thought about it, where these operators are coming from.
Because I've seen a few like before when I worked a little bit with GraphQL, but I didn't see the other one. So it's pretty cool that there is a port between Postgres and case insensitive. I see.
Like match case sensitive, yeah. So that should answer your question. So obviously that's a very powerful feature actually, now that I think about it, if they're exposing Postgres pattern matching in a GraphQL. Pretty nice. Now how do I actually update the field? So we're saying where this where the match is Minsk. Okay. Now set the name to web. Why does the W look like a V? Talk.
Now it changed. That's weird.
Okay, and it's saying you need to select subfield, so we'll just get the names. Okay, no matches. Great.
So city didn't match.
Yeah.
So there are no spaces, right?
Well, I can't remove the spaces.
Minsk.
Minsk is misspelled.
Right.
Minsk.
Here we go.
Not quite. So let's say similar. I don't know if that will work. Minsk, Belarus. That doesn't work either.
You can try to do like Minsk, maybe.
Sure. We'll do this one. I like.
Sure, I like Minsk.
Okay, let's take this off.
No.
Okay, let's try to actually find.
Are you sure it's not? It didn't update?
I'm sure because it would have returned the updated. Here, let's run a query quickly against the same thing. So not mutation, query, conferences, conferences where city equal to Minsk, Belarus. By the way, I heard it's a beautiful city. So run the unnamed one. Operation name cannot be used when an anonymous operation exists. Okay, what the heck is that? Oh, it's not finding a match. Okay. So let's try another one. Like Minsk. No.
So yeah, like it's not matching by city for some reason. Let's maybe try to display everything. Oh yeah, name city.
We can do the same thing here.
What's at the end? Like, is there some weird character?
Oh yeah, is that in all of them?
Seems like it.
Nothing here. Minsk. Okay, I'm just gonna try the operations. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to use these, I think.
Right.
But then, yeah. Okay, here we
Here
go.
we go. Okay.
So, yeah, I like is case insensitive, so in that case, I don't. It could be Minsk like that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now we're making some progress.
Yeah.
So we need to use I like, and we need to use this percent sign. And get rid of this guy. There we go. Ta-da!
Cool.
Look at that. So webTalk is all over Belarus. We've taken over every single conference they have.
In Minsk.
Yes. No, all over Belarus. I'll have to go.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so there you go. There you have it. Sorry. There you have it. That's Hasura console for you. Now let's quickly get Angular Apollo client up and running to view this data. So we show how we can query it and mutate and whatnot. Probably not mutate, but query. Okay, let's get a Angular project going. So do I have ng? That's the Angular CLI. Yes, I do. It doesn't accept this. Okay, so ng new client. Would you like routing? I don't care about that. Sure. By the way, you guys have React CLI now, right?
Maybe there is one, we don't use it yet.
Okay. I think it's a fork of the same CLI.
The same that Angular is using?
Yeah, but Angular stole it from Ember. So Ember is actually the one that built the original CLI.
Not stole, got inspired by.
Sure. I feel bad for Ember, you know, like they build all the good stuff, they never get the credit.
Some people gave them credit, and I know some companies still use it, but
Yeah, it's one of those frameworks like once you use, like why would you switch to anything else? It's very powerful. I would like to do a talk on that, on Ember, one day.
Sounds good.
It's really underrated, I think. Okay, so while we're getting set up, let's just see for Apollo GraphQL, what do we need to get up and running? We need to run this CLI command.
So what's the difference between ng-add and yarn-add? Like obviously those are different command line tools, but why can't you add Apollo Angular through yarn?
You can, it's just that you're installing the CLI.
I see.
You're installing the Apollo CLI schematics.
I see. So basically that is a template that would actually expand to all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's an Angular library which will actually do a bunch of stuff, including update your package.json and install stuff. Yeah.
Is it like similar to how some packages are installed on Linux? You know, like how you can, I think there is something like that where you can type one name and it would install a bunch of things for you.
Oh yeah? I didn't know. Yes, Ember had the same idea. They call it add-ons, Ember add-ons. Man, the Angular CLI is just, especially now with the schematics, like it's pretty powerful stuff. For example, like you want to use material in your Angular project. You don't like you install it just like this, like ng add material or whatever the command is, and you get a bunch of like CLI stuff. So let's say you want a date picker, you don't just manually create a date picker. You generate a date picker and you pass in certain arguments. So like create the components for you, the templates, based on the parameters that you pass in. So it like generates code for you, you know?
Yep.
Why is this taking forever?
Okay, so it's installed and you're on ng serve.
Well, let's hope the installation went well. Yeah, because I picked the SAS option, took forever. Sergey was just illuminating me with all the information about what Node JIP does and how it compiles all the C++ for the native environment. It always takes forever. Okay, here we go. So now we should have localhost 4200 Angular. Okay, we have an Angular project. Let's quickly add Apollo. That was already in terminal. So here.
And is it like, so what we see right now on the screen, is it just what comes from the default? Like when you install that Apollo Angular?
Yes, so this is just the default Angular seed project kind of thing. Tour of Heroes.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, doesn't install much for you. Just the app component, which is here. So you get the scaffolding on this side. You get your source, your app component, your asset folder, your Angular project bootstrapped and ready to go. So now I'm just installing the Apollo project. I'll go to app component and remove all this stuff. Yeah, I asked for no routing, so I don't have an outlet. That should all go away. Update dependencies. Okay, I guess Apollo is gonna install them for me now. Okay, just install the Apollo Angular library. So what I did first is generate the new Angular CLI project. So I have a new Angular app with nothing. And then I went ahead and installed the Apollo Angular library. So now we are in business. We can start querying data from our GraphQL server. So first things, from a Apollo perspective, we go to the app module, and they have this. Actually, no. There's a GraphQL module, which has the URI for the GraphQL server. So this is the first step to hook up our Apollo GraphQL to our current GraphQL server. GraphQL server is running on which port? Let's see, where is Hasura? Okay. So I believe it runs on V1 API. No. I just forgot the URL.
But didn't it give you the response over there? It's just, or should it give you everything?
It should have. It shouldn't even have gone to the. Shouldn't have shown any console stuff. Should have just been like a Express API kind of response, like an empty page with just, no route found or whatever. But I do have it in my other project, my POC. Just need to find it.
Oh, I never used that window thing before.
No?
Like how you switch between projects? Like I never used it this way.
I actually haven't either. I'm surprised I did that. The stuff you do when you're demoing is completely different than real life. Okay, I got the URL. It's v1/GraphQL because I was doing v1/API. That's not right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I have the URI hooked up. I have my app component. In this app component, we need to inject the Apollo service. So Apollo, and okay, what the hell is going on with me? I think it's this one. And then we can go this data.
Why do you need private in the argument?
Very good question. So with Angular, when you're trying to do a dependency injection, you have a few options. You can actually get the injector method and then pass in what you want to inject using the token. So in that case, I can actually pass in the class and then I can assign it to, I don't know what the heck is going on, it's so slow. I need to increase the font a little bit. Yeah. So usually with Angular you have dependency injection, right? So that's a big part of Angular, and the long way of doing it is this way. Say, hey, I want to inject this token, which you can pass in either like a actual string token that you've specified before, in your module declaration, or you can specify the class and Angular will know, okay, I need an instance of that class. Okay? But because it's such a common thing, it will also understand if you just go private Apollo and you say like this, it will know that I need to inject this service in here.
Right, but still don't understand why, like, what's the value of the private modifier here? Because like it's like a local variable in my mind. Like when I'm, you know, as a JavaScript developer, I'm thinking, okay, arguments are local to the function scope, right? Constructor is a function, so why do you need private?
Right. So in this case, my service, this thing that I'm injecting, I don't need to use it outside of this class. I don't need to use it in the template, for example. If I need to use it in the template, then I have to declare it as public. It's kind of different meaning than because this is I guess TypeScript.
I don't know, like maybe a mix of TypeScript as well as Angular specific way of like how it recognizes things. I know I have to dig deeper to understand it better, but and also injector, like when you use inject, why can't you, like if it's a function, like you did call it as a function, like why do you need that?
It's not a function.
Add some.
It's not a function. It's
Okay.
So this Apollo is a service. So Angular, there's a thing called service, which is a class.
Okay.
It's a class, but it's a special class. It's an injectable class. So when you're defining a, for example, so I'll generate a service quickly, just to show you. So ng generate service my service. So we'll create a thing, hopefully. Takes forever to do anything.
G stands for generate, right? And G generate service,
yes.
my service, okay.
So now I should have created it, but my WebStorm is still indexing. Okay. So this is similar to the Apollo service that I was injecting. It's a class, has a constructor, has methods, but it has a special TypeScript decorator.
Right.
That says, hey, I want this class to be injectable, and then this is another special configurations in Angular to say, not only do I want it to be injectable, I want it to be available throughout my in my main module without me having to manually declare it to be included in my module. So like if I go, so everything is module based in Angular, and you have like these providers. So technically I have to say, for every module I would have to declare my service to say, hey, for my injectables or my services, I want this to be available in this module, so that any component within this module can inject it. But if I say this provided in root, then I don't need to add this thing here. It's just presumed that it's going to be available. It's a lot of Angular specific stuff, which is, you know, yeah, so this is the service we were talking about, and that's how you make it injectable. And like I said, the provided in root would basically it's a convenience thing where you don't have to manually define in your module that you want my service in here. So it's either you define it like this, or if you add it in here, then you don't need to include it in your module. Just a shorthand kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay. So back to the private versus public. Basically, the rule of thumb is if you need to access it in your template, then you make it public. If you don't need to access it in your template, you make it private. So in our case, our template is not going to be dealing directly with the fetching of the data. We're going to define a public conferences array. I guess we should define a type quickly. So I will let me just create a type quickly, which would make it easier to. So.
And when you say private Apollo, like, would it become the instance of the class, or it's still like a parameter?
It would be
like a field of the instance.
That's a good question. So by default, services are singletons. So every time you inject that, you will get the same instance throughout your app, unless you specify that you don't want it to be a singleton anymore.
Yes.
So in this case, you're getting an instance, but it's the same instance. So if
say like say you define like a method inside that app component, then like how would you refer to Apollo? Would you say like this Apollo or?
Yes. So call Apollo. It becomes a instance variable. Apollo. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just export an interface conference, and it will have a name string, date string, just to strong type the information that we're gonna get back from our GraphQL server, and then city is a string. Okay, now we say this is.
What about ID? Do you need ID as well?
So we probably should, yeah. We should. Yeah. It's not gonna break or anything if we don't have the right thing, but if we need to access the ID, then definitely it will be a problem, because then that object is not gonna have it. So this is a conference array. Right? So now we'll try to fetch the data. I'll go to the GraphQL tutorial. Okay, watch query. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do this thing. We will define a GraphQL fragment in here. Copy this guy. Just get conferences. This guy doesn't work for whatever reason.
Or you expected it to paste the reference for you?
Yeah, in this, for some reason it doesn't.
Maybe it didn't update references after node installation.
No, but it's that package specifically that has a problem. Let's go back. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
We'll do conferences. Basically what we need to do is we take the query that we ran into the Explorer. So clear this. We'll just do a simple query. Conference, city, date, ID, name. And we take this guy. We copy it in here.
And did you ever work with a package in WebStorm that allows you to run GraphQL queries from WebStorm.
No. Have you?
There is, like, I did experiment with it like maybe a year ago. So it's like you write it the same way how you do it, how you write it right now, and then like it recognizes, oh, here you probably want a query, so that like it has like a small gutter icon, and then you press on it, it brings a panel at the bottom that gives you results.
What? Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So you configure it, you just give it the URL for your GraphQL server?
Yes.
Okay, nice, good to know. Okay, so we'll try to run the query now. So we use the watch query. So this dot follow dot watch query, and we say conferences. And now this is, you know, specific Angular stuff. We're subscribing. So watch query will return an observable. And for observables, you have, watch query will return this query reference, and then query reference has a value changes, which is an observable. And in Angular or with RxJS, you can subscribe to the observable this way. So you get a callback with the data, and then we just console log it. Actually, right now we're gonna get the response, not the data. And then the data is wrapped inside. Let's give it a quick spin. Let's see where we have.
GraphQL error. Oh, yeah.
GraphQL error. Syntax error. Okay, we're doing something with the conferences.
So just an extra bracket, I think, at the bottom.
Extra bracket?
Oh, yeah, like this one.
Okay, let's see. Oh,
it's better, yeah.
Good job. Okay, here we go. Let's see our data, and you can see that we're getting all the conferences.
Yeah.
Now let me just pipe it out in a template. So we'll just use the ng4 to loop through conferences and conference dot we didn't we're not setting it in here. Data.
Hey Marwan?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. So conferences, conference dot name, conference dot city.
It's auto completion.
Yeah. And date. Let's go back to our Angular. Ta-da. So we see all the conferences. Now I'll do just one more thing, which is do the subscription. So actually I will leave that. I'll leave that for another day. But yeah, so as you can see, pretty quickly we were able to set up a GraphQL engine, fetch data, and we can obviously go further into this and start running mutations. Maybe you click on the conference, you go to another page where you can edit, save, but it would need a lot more work to get there on the front end. But yeah, so just to briefly go over the Apollo GraphQL, we just need to inject the Apollo service. We pass in a query, which we defined right here, which we grabbed from the console. And we don't have to wire anything up ourselves. It does the fetch right here. If we use the subscription, then you will see a WebSocket connection get opened, and the data will be streamed that way.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like that watch query, by the name of it, it feels like it will get updated when data is being modified, like in a database.
Yeah, the name is a bit misleading. So watch query, what it will do is, it has something to do with the caching. So if you do watch query, then every time you subscribe to that, it will make a network call, as opposed to other methods. Let me just quickly go to,
I see,
where it has a little bit more. But before I misspeak, just want to quickly go over the documentation. So in queries, we are using basic query. We can use the watch query method. We simply need to parse our query into GraphQL, for instance. You see that the results. Yeah, I apologize. I don't have the proper documentations open.
No problem. Like I saw that there was like something about loading. Like they mentioned loading, so probably if request is taking longer, then like you kind of your subscriber first takes like data with some flag probably saying that it's loading, so that you can show loader, and then when data arrives, then you can show the data.
Yeah, something like that. Also, there is a bit of, like, there is a fetch, which will actually. Damn, I really forgot. But there's one where it has more caching than the other. One will return the same results that you have already fetched previously, and one will make a call to the server every time. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Like, just good to know.
Yeah, I haven't spent too much time with Apollo. Like, I've been just evaluating it in the last couple of days, just trying to, just POC it. But yeah, there's much more to it, and I don't seem to recall all the different permutations. Like, I did use both, and they are different. Watch query versus fetch, but it has nothing to do with subscriptions. Long story short, subscription is a totally different. It has to do with how you construct the query, not which method you use, whether it's watch or fetch. Yeah.
Awesome.
Like, see, instead of a query, it's a subscription string. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's it. I hope that was useful.
100%. Thank you for showing. Like, now I know like how to kind of like how to work with that service that starts with H. Don't remember the name now.
Hasura.
Hasura, yes. I know like how to work with its console high level, as well as that it connects to Postgres, and like the GraphQL exposes the filtering that Postgres supports, which is super cool.
Yeah. That I
Yeah.
discovered. I discovered today too.
Yep. And you showed me how to work with Angular, what are those injectables, and like, you know, high level, like that all makes sense. So yeah, it was very, very cool demo.
Thanks, appreciate it. Do you want to go into the speed round quickly?
Sure.
Well, not quickly.
Yeah, like,
We have plenty of time.
we'll probably go through it quickly if you click speed round. Yeah, so this one. Right. And I don't know, like I don't think that I can control like
You're not
something.
controlling? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one, Windows Sandbox, if you can open this one.
Sure.
So that's like a new, well, relatively new feature in Windows that maybe not everyone knows about. It allows you to open like almost like a virtual machine, like within Windows, that you can use for experiments. So Marwan, I know that you enabled that feature. If you can demo it quickly.
Yeah, sure. How do I demo it?
So if you in search, if you type Windows Sandbox, yeah, and click on that second one, yeah, just launch it, and you'll see that like within seconds you'll get full Windows. So the idea is that you can experiment with it, like install some programs, maybe the ones that you don't trust, or if you like got a link to your email and you doubt like if it's safe or no, then you could use Windows Sandbox to kind of launch a browser and verify like what was there, like without like with very low chance of that impacting any of your system. So like that's very good for checking some programs that you're not certain about, or just like doing some quick experiments. And the key point is once you close that Windows, then like it would just like everything will be wiped out.
Wow, so cool. So how do you can you share data between?
Yes, so and that's why I brought that article. So if you can go back to it, there is an ability to specify startup files. So as you can see, like over there is a mention of VSB config file. So the idea is that you can create that text file and enter some XML-like configuration that would enable some features, or tell it to share some specific folder from your host machine into the sandbox. And you can say like I want sandbox to only access it in a read-only mode. And then you can see like whether or not
that's so powerful.
Yeah, like whether or not it will have networking access. You can run some startup commands. So you can see like for that folder that I shared from my host, also run that installer file, and you can install some programs before you start working with it. So yeah, like I find that is very cool. Like you can like almost create like a small development like disposable development environments. Probably it wouldn't be as fast as Docker, but like you get a full Windows running inside. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So nice. Wow. Very cool. Thanks.
Right. Yep. So let's go to the next one.
Okay, next one is Repl.
So Repl.
Oh, I like Repl.
Yeah, I'm sure that you used that before. Like I just found that I'm following some courses on Udemy right now. Like I'm learning a bit more about C# and C. Like I don't want to spin up like my own environment locally. Like I want to have some kind of remote environment that is not affected by any of my settings, so that I can try out some of the code samples that I see. And yeah, usually I just go here, create a new REPL, like using the language that I want, and then like I'm up and running in seconds. So it's very cool because it gives you like an ability to spin up any language that you want to.
Very nice. I've never used it for any other language, so that's good that I didn't know you could run. I was using it for JavaScript like before, but that's it.
Yeah, like for JavaScript, I think there are plenty of better examples, like the ones. Yeah, like if you click run, then you'll see that it's fairly quick. Yeah, for JavaScript, I think there are better ones, like which are more powerful in terms of IDs, but if you want to try other languages, then it's pretty good.
Very nice.
Okay, and the last one, Amazon pricing tracker. So, don't know if you heard about this one, but it allows you to see prices and their variations. So on Amazon, so say like you're interested in, I don't know, water filters, and if
water filter, who's interested in water filter? Come
on. Like for fridge, I don't know, or sure that like there is an audience for that or some specific.
You sound like a dad now.
Okay.
iPhone.
Someone interested in
iPhone 11. Is it 11's the latest?
Sure. I don't know.
But that one is more controlled pricing. I don't think you will find deals.
Well, like just go to one of the item pages, like to see what it shows you. Yeti. Yep. Okay. Let's see what are the trends for pricing. If you click on yep. And you can see that like the price jumps like up and down. And you can set up your own filters. You can subscribe like at the top, and they will send you an email when the price matches to the range that you are comfortable paying with.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
How do they make money? Do you know?
Affiliate programs. So like through the references to Amazon, they are making money this way.
Oh, like if I go on this, yeah. Okay, I see.
Like by tracking the, like they are passing some query parameters and driving traffic this way.
So do you think they're scraping using
Puppeteer? Don't know if it's Puppeteer, but yeah, like they're definitely doing something like that.
Cool. I didn't know this existed. Very useful.
Yep. Right, that's it for today.
Okay. Don't have any other ones? Okay, awesome. Yeah, hopefully it was a useful episode. Thanks for sharing all these links, Sergey. And we will see you guys. I think Sergey will be presenting the next one next week. Excited to hear what is the next episode about? Do you know already or no?
I didn't decide yet, but we'll see. Something interesting.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks guys. Thanks Sergey, and have a nice day.